Somewhere on the front lines of the French Revolutionary Wars, a French general is handed an unusual proposal by his own medical staff. A soldier in their care can reportedly swallow an entire small object whole and pass it intact through his body a day or two later. The soldier's name is Tarrare, and the army is about to turn his body into a filing cabinet. Tarrare was likely born around 1772 near Lyon. Almost nothing about his early life is confirmed except one detail that shaped everything after it. Even as a child, his appetite was so extreme that his own parents could no longer feed him and forced him out of the house as a teenager. With nowhere to go, he fell in with a traveling band of thieves, performing as a warm-up act while his companions picked the pockets of distracted crowds. His act was simple: swallow corks, stones, a whole basket of apples, anything handed to him, without apparent effort or harm. He eventually took the act solo, working the streets of Paris as a professional oddity. In 1788, mid-performance, Tarrare collapses with what turns out to be an intestinal blockage. Doctors treat him with heavy doses of laxatives. Once he recovers, grateful and apparently eager to demonstrate his gratitude, he offers to swallow the treating physician's pocket watch. The doctor declines, on the condition he'd only agree if allowed to cut Tarrare open afterward to retrieve it. When the French Revolutionary Wars begin, Tarrare joins the army, where his condition becomes a genuine military problem before it becomes a military asset. Standard rations, even quadrupled, do nothing for him. He is caught eating from garbage heaps, stealing food from fellow soldiers, and eventually hospitalized simply for being too hungry to function. Military surgeon Pierre-François Percy takes on his case and begins documenting what may be the most extreme eating capacity ever formally recorded in medical history. In one sitting, Tarrare consumes a meal prepared for 15 laborers, including 4 gallons of milk, then falls immediately into a deep, bloated sleep. Under supervised testing, he eats live cats, snakes, lizards, and an entire eel, all without apparent injury. He does not gain weight. He remains, by every account, visibly gaunt. Despite the horror of the testing, doctors note that Tarrare shows no other signs of mental illness. He is calm, cooperative, and apparently as disturbed by his own condition as everyone observing him. It's this documented ability, an esophagus wide enough and a digestive tract fast enough to pass a sealed object through his body largely intact, that catches the attention of General Alexandre de Beauharnais. If Tarrare can swallow and later recover a small object on command, he can, in theory, smuggle documents past enemy lines in the one place no soldier would think to search: inside a man who has already been thoroughly searched and found to be carrying nothing. They test it first with a simple wooden box, sealed and wrapped in paper. Tarrare swallows it in front of the assembled commanders of the Army of the Rhine. True to form, it passes through him intact within 2 days, retrieved exactly as sent. As a reward, the general presents Tarrare with a wheelbarrow holding 30 pounds of raw bull's lungs and liver, which Tarrare eats immediately, on the spot in front of the same officers. He is given his first real mission: cross into Prussian territory, disguised as a local peasant, and deliver a swallowed message to a French colonel being held prisoner nearby. The plan fails almost immediately, for reasons that have nothing to do with Tarrare's digestive system. He doesn't speak a word of German. Within hours of crossing enemy lines, his behavior draws suspicion, and he's captured by Prussian soldiers outside the town of Landau. A strip search finds nothing on him. Under interrogation and physical punishment, Tarrare holds out for 24 hours before finally confessing exactly how the message was being carried. Prussian soldiers chain him to a latrine and wait. 30 hours after he swallowed it, the box finally emerges. When they open it, expecting vital French military intelligence, they find a note that isn't military intelligence at all. It's simply a message asking the imprisoned colonel to confirm he'd received it and report anything he'd overheard. The entire mission had been a low-stakes test all along, one that Tarrare himself was never told the real stakes of. Furious at being tricked, the Prussian commander orders Tarrare hanged. He is saved only at the last moment, spared the noose but severely beaten, and eventually released back across French lines. He never runs another mission. Back in French hands, Tarrare begs to be cured of his condition rather than used for it again. Doctors try nearly everything available to 18th century medicine: opium, tobacco, wine vinegar, restrictive diets. Nothing changes his hunger. Increasingly desperate, he is later found drinking blood from hospital bleeding basins and attempting to eat corpses from the hospital morgue. After an infant briefly goes missing from the same hospital, with Tarrare the only identified suspect and no confirmed evidence ever produced, he is driven out and disappears from the historical record for roughly 4 years. In 1798, he resurfaces at a hospital in Versailles, severely ill, convinced a golden fork he'd swallowed years earlier is finally killing him from the inside. Doctors diagnose the real cause: advanced tuberculosis. He dies within the month, at approximately 26 years old. An autopsy finds an esophagus and stomach dramatically larger than normal, a stomach lining full of ulcers, and organs pushed out of position to accommodate it all. The golden fork he'd been so certain about is never found. No confirmed case resembling Tarrare's has ever been formally documented since. What actually caused it, whether a rare metabolic or hormonal condition, a parasite, or something medicine still doesn't have a name for, was never determined then, and still isn't now. A man's own body became a military asset, a medical mystery, and eventually the thing that killed him. And nobody, including the doctors who spent years studying him up close, ever figured out why. Hit like if this one made your stomach turn in more ways than one. Subscribe. There's another impossible true story next week.